Hello, guys. My name is Jader. I am the founder of Black Label Closers, an organization dedicated to help people become highly effective in selling high ticket offers. You can go to www.highticket-closers.com. Make sure you put the dash between Black Label and Closers. Otherwise, you're going to go to an old domain that we're not using anymore. Also, you can come here to YouTube, Black Label Closers, every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. in the evening, Eastern Standard Time. Make comments, hit subscribe, ask questions, make comments. You can challenge me on these points, and I'll give you a complete explanation to why I think the way I think, based on experience. Okay? So today we have as every Tuesday and Thursday, we have an exciting topic or three exciting topics to talk about, three fundamental points to understand when you close. All right, so let's talk about the first fundamental, mirroring personalities. Mirroring personalities. What does that mean when you mirror a personality? Um, I made this a bullet point, which was part of another video with a training session that I did on a live video like this. Probably we're talking about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. I'm not sure. You would have to go through all the videos to know where it is. If you are going through all the videos, that's your complete training right there, right? Obviously, there's a lot of psychology goes into the reason why all those things that I explained happen, take place, and are productive when it comes to pitching or selling high ticket. So the having the interaction with me is very important because I'm training an engineer right now, someone who is highly intelligent, someone who's very, very good at analyzing, and he is doing high ticket sales because he sees the tremendous potential to be able to make not just extra money, but real money, right? $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. This is real in high ticket sales. And I was talking to him, and he's very good at analyzing what I say. He takes the concept, the rebuttal, the takeaway, and how to polish it. And he goes, does it. Now, the only problem or challenge that he's having right now, which is part of the reason that it's part of growing, right, to have challenges, is the fact that he doesn't understand that he not only has to have intellectual intelligence, but emotional intelligence or sentimental intelligence. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that because you have emotional intelligence, that doesn't mean you're going to act out of emotion. What that means is when you have empathy with people, you're going to be able to make an assessment a lot better and not just drop a line because you heard the trainer, you heard me saying something. Lines are not going to bail you out. The concept, you need to learn concepts more than lines and technical expressions to be able to get out of Dodge. We'll do a complete training video on this. I just wanted to touch base on that because this engineer that I'm training right now, it's an incredibly smart guy, but he needs to learn how to apply different and being extremely analytical about training and learning how to sell is not always the best thing. It's a little bit counterproductive and counterintuitive. So we'll talk about that at another time. Okay. So today we're going to talk about what we came to talk about. And what we came to talk about today is three fundamental points that you have to keep in mind. So mirroring someone, what does that mean? And so I'm going to make this point again because I think it's important that you guys remember. It's very simple, guys. If you are I don't know if you ever had a friend that you used to hang out with a lot, and that person used to behave in a certain way, and then all of a sudden, maybe the next year after you finished, your school year, you go back to school and you find your friend there, and you think everything's gonna be awesome. You love your friend. You go back to him, and now he's behaving differently, and now the way he behaves reminds you of the bullies. The football player who's been bullying everybody, or some troublemaker. Now the guy is acting like the troublemaker, like the bully. You name it, right? So now you're gonna start wondering, why are you acting this way? If you were this kind of person, you have your own personality, your own thoughts. Now you think like this guy, you act like that guy. The first thing you start thinking, and obviously this is something that we start thinking when we start becoming a little more mature, maybe 11th, 12th grade, something like that. I'm just giving you an example, practical example, for you to understand why mirroring other people's personalities makes a clear statement and is emphatically obvious who is the weaker link. So if you're mirroring somebody's personality because you want to be liked, because you want your prospect to approve of you, what you're demonstrating is that you have no character and that you suck up to anybody just for the mere result of getting a sale. What happens is this behavior is going to transpire as far as the real reason why you are imitating somebody. It's plain and simple. Mirroring somebody's personality is just code a code word for imitating somebody's personality. You imitate someone is because they're better than you in your perception. They're better than you. They're stronger than you. They're smarter than you. They're more interesting than you, and they're cooler than you. That's the only reason why you're gonna. And that's something that two parties will understand in the process of that conversation. So I like when my prospect mirrors me, when they imitate me, when they start not mocking me. That's not right. You got to make a distinction between someone who's imitating you to mock you and someone who's imitating you to emulate who you are. So let's call it emulating you, right, instead of imitating you. I've never been imitated. Uh, Nobody's ever mocked me through imitation, but a lot of people want to behave with the type of words that I use, the type of rhythm of the call, the emphatical perception of a certain principle, like, for instance, being on time for appointments. Every time that I talk to someone and I tell them, listen, I will not make any apologies for being demanding about my time. So we're going to set up another appointment, or we're going to set up an appointment for next time. And I want to make sure that if I honor your time and I respect your time, I want to make sure that you can offer me the same courtesy back. When people say, no, man, I'm like you, I like to be on time, I respect people's time, now they're trying to satisfy me in ways that I can approve of them. If they're begging for my approval, that means I'm controlling every aspect of that conversation. When you are mirroring somebody, there is no way you can control the conversation. If you're the one emulating the prospect, you have no chance at controlling the call. Trust me. I don't care what your trainer says. Okay. Um, if your trainer is telling you to mirror people, if they're a little bit they're very sophisticated in the way they talk, you got to be sophisticated in the way you talk. If they're a little bit ghetto in the way they talk, you got to be a little bit ghetto in the way you talk. No, you got to stand your ground. You got to, and I got to be honest, you have to, if you're talking about intellectual property that can help people financially, then you have to sound like you have an expensive approach in an expensive. If you're going to ask for 20, $30,000, that's an expensive ticket. You have to act expensive. No one, like, let's say that you're interested in buying a 400,000, 700,000, $1 million car, and you go to the expensive high end car dealership, And some guy with dirty clothes and dirty hands and just someone who doesn't look the part comes out and he's a salesman. You're probably not going to buy from that guy. But if someone sharp comes out, well dressed, well, balanced and sober in the way he's dressed, the colors he's wearing, and the speech is paced and well distributed in the way that he's going to be able to convey the benefits of having a high end car and explain this and that and have a conversation sophisticated enough for you to believe in what he says. Then guess what? You're going to buy from that guy. You don't want to buy from the sloppy guy or the guy who's going to come in and imitate who you are, right? It's not just. I mean, think of the time that Ben Stiller, uh, played the character of a stunt double, and he was imitating Tom Cruise. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Go and check it out, and you see how stupid and ridiculous to the point that they made a humorous sketch about this. How he was so desperate to imitate Tom Cruise, the guy just looked pathetic, right? So don't look pathetic. Don't sound pathetic. Um, it's okay to use terminology that the other person can understand to a certain degree. I make it a point so the other person has to make an effort to understand me more than I have to make an effort to understand them. When I drop, expensive words, big words, I'm really good at that. Make sure that if you're gonna drop um, a big word, that you know the meaning of that word, because the minute you make a mistake with someone who's smart enough to know what you're the term that you're using for the wrong reason, you're going to lose all respect. All right. Talking of which, the next point, which is respect is absolute or not at all. Right. So, um, let me go back to this example with this one of my this guy that I'm training now is really an impressive guy. I really like him, and he's got the attitude, the approach. He's going to be super exceptional. Just need to groom him, season him a little bit better, help him out. And one of the things that he was doing is he was trying to find financial information, and he couldn't get through that financial information. And he always get that resistance. And he asked me, every time I do this, I get to this section of the call, I get resistance. People they just feel weirded out that I'm asking, do you have that problem? And I told him, I don't have ever that problem. Maybe once every 2 years, I have someone saying, why do you need that information? And then I tell them why I need the information. If they don't want to provide the information, we're okay. We can hang up and continue, go separate ways. I do it in a very delicate, professional, and respectful way, but I let them know that I'm not here to play games. They need to go through the rules. So the answer to me, from from me to this trainee, is the so that's a symptom that it's probably being reflected in other places during the call. And he said, yeah, but it's only right there. It's not like I'm not having the respect. I don't have the respect from them other places. And I said, well, you can't have respect in one single place, or disrespect in one single place, or lack of respect in one single place, and then being giving you complete respect in other places. Just because they're courteous and they're nice doesn't mean they respect you. You have to understand how to handle that, because if you're not being able to inspire respect, the right respect from these people, they're not going to respect you in other areas that you believe they're giving you the accurate information, and they're not. They're just humoring you, because when someone humors you, they don't respect you. Someone who wants to give you the best that they have, they're going to be truthful, transparent with you. They're not going to humor you. Humoring you is then you think whatever you want. It may be feeding whatever you think that's erroneous, so that you don't give them, so that you don't you know become a bother, right? So you got to be careful with how you are interpreting the way they talk to you. Are they talking to me nice, the nice way because the person is really nice, or are they? I've had conversations when I start the conversation, the person is really standoffish, maybe even rude to a point. To have a great conversation with all the respect and admiration and gratitude for having spent that time. And I've been able to turn some of the meanest people into some of the best conversations that I've had. So you got to be, if you're being disrespected in one single area, rest assured you're being disrespected everywhere else. So you need to fix that area. By fixing that area, you're going to be able to fix all the other areas as long as you're aware of what the problem is. Okay. So very important to understand that. Next one. All right. Quickly, we're getting to the end here. What does it mean when the prospect says, how much is it? All right. If you have to ask, how much is it? You cannot afford it. Plain and simple. Any prospect that asks, I want to make sure that you tell me how much. Now, there are people that would ask you uh, with an honest, with honest curiosity, how much. So how much is something like this? What's the investment? And you just say, that's a great question. So let's talk about that for when we have our conversation. I can explain the technicals. The only problem is if I give you a number, it's just a number that floats in the air, and you don't know what that number stands for. So I don't want you to make a judgment call based on a number that doesn't mean anything. Just let's if we're gonna explore this and you're serious about this, be patient. Nobody's gonna blindside you. I'll share with you, and when the time comes, so that it can make sense to you. Because if I just give you a price right now, it's just like, is it? Anything is going to be too expensive, right? But you have to understand that number is going to be substantiated by something. If you say this with zero personality, zero character, they're going to say, yeah, but so you know the price, just tell me the price. But if you say that with character, with firm authority, they're going to be cool with that. There are another group of people that will not be cool with that. There's another group of people that will probably say, you know what, I don't want to waste your time. I don't know if I can afford it. I need to know how much it is. So at that point, depending on the behavior, if it's someone with a real sharp ego, and I know it's going to be problematic, I already know. I don't want to hang out with people that think I'm there at their disposal. Because if I do that, then I don't become an expensive commodity. And I would not have the right to ask for a high ticket payment. If I act cheap, I don't have the right to ask for expensive payments. If I act low ticket, I cannot get the money for high ticket. That's just simple as that. So I tame the person um, if they have a grandiose ego, if they have a you know arrogance, sharp arrogance. I need to tame them to the point that they agree to follow the rules, and then I'm going to say, "Man, make sure." But if you're going to follow the rules, please follow the rules. Don't question anymore. Otherwise, we don't have to go. I don't have to aggravate you, and you don't have to aggravate me. We're two mature people. We can go our separate ways. But if you're here to have a conversation and you're willing to go through the rules, great. Okay. So, I'll but sometimes when I know it's just impossible, I'm gonna just say, okay. So I'm gonna give you the ticket for this, the investment for this. I know you're gonna whether I give you $1,000 or $1 million or $100,000, any number is gonna be too much for you because you just don't know what that means. And honestly, most people that ask me, and I go as far as saying this, why are you asking how much is it? No, I just want to make sure that I can afford it. Okay. See, what happens is, in my experience, when people ask for the price, and first of all, they call it the price, and they most people do, instead of an investment. When they ask me for the price, it's just a nice way to tell me that they don't want to deal with me. They just want to know. They just want to have a reason to tell me that they don't want to go through the call. We don't have to go through the call if this is no. And then I tell them, okay, it's $20,000. Oh yeah, I can't afford. You see what I told you? I'm sure you can afford it. You just don't know. It's a number that's hanging in the ether. You just have no idea what that is. You're making a judgment call based. It's almost like if I told you, if we're on a plane and I push a trunk with $1 million and I tell you to jump out after, would you do it? Would you jump after a trunk full of $1 million if I toss that out of a plane? And they tell me, no, well, of course not. If I'm not suicidal. Yeah, but who told you we were in the air? We're grounded. All you have to do is just jump to the ground and pick up the $1 million. But you see, all you heard was airplane, $1 million being tossed out of a plane. That's all you heard, and you never considered it, all the possibilities, because you just don't know the value of something until you understand what's behind the number. So. Yeah, if dealing with people that ask for prices up front, you know how I just explained to you, if I act low ticket, I cannot ask for high ticket money. Well, when someone wants to shop for high ticket products and services and they ask you for the price of that high ticket, they're acting low ticket. So that's a low ticket customer who's never going to pay high ticket. Um, Most people, they understand there's an investment. The time will come. He's going to explain all this to me, and I don't have to worry about that right now. And most people, in fact, every single person in the 25 years that I've sold has not asked me for how much it is up front, or if they've asked me how much it is, they're fine with not discussing the number until we talk about the not the product, but until we have the conversation. I never really talk about product or technicals before agreeing to the money. So the money has to be agreed first, and then I explain. It's a trick, and we'll talk about that. All right. Excellent. So again, my name is Jader. I am the senior director here. Well, not the senior director. I am the founder of Black Label Closers, an organization dedicated to help people become highly effective in the art of selling high ticket. You can go to www.blacklabel-closers.com. Make sure you put the dash right between Black Label and Closers. Otherwise, you go to the old domain, and that doesn't work. Come every Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch his live videos. You can watch him. You can rerun him. Make comments, challenge. I'll explain why we do the way we do them. Ask questions. I can answer questions. If you want to get in touch with me, you want to be trained by the right people, we're right here. All right. Excellent. Catch you on the flip. Talk to you later.